Welcome to the Carpet Cleaning Success Podcast. AI Marketing Experts is your backstage pass to the future of marketing. Hosted by a powerhouse crew of AI-savvy entrepreneurs, including John Clendenning, this weekly show unpacks the tools, trends, and real-world applications of artificial intelligence in digital marketing.
To the AI Marketing Experts podcast show. What are we calling this thing? Here on YouTube and on Spotify and all sorts of other places. My name is Chris Hunter, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of roofingsites.com, as well as the author of The Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. We are here today with our expert panel of AI marketing experts. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off here this week. We have a lot of things. I've been out for the past 2 weeks, backpacking in the mountains, so I'm completely off grid. I am completely lost in the AI world, kind of, not really, but there was a lot of things that actually changed in the past couple of weeks, of me being completely without cell phone coverage. So let's just kick it off with what in the heck has been happening in the AI world lately.
Well, I'll just jump in. This is Brad Kilgore from America's Best Shops. And, it's shifting so fast, and we've touched on this week after week. And we know that sometimes you may not see this episode in real time, but things are happening so fast. And what we want to really go over today is most businesses, local businesses, any type of business, they're so used to how Google has shown them or had them show up in Google search in the past. There's a specific layout of the ads on top, and then the Google Maps or Google Business Profile, Google My Business, whatever you want to call it these days. And then the organic search listings, and then typically ads at the bottom. And we're going to go through some screenshots today and show some different things because it is literally drastically changing. And as we know from being in the marketing space for a long time, just because Google is showing it a certain way this week doesn't mean it'll be the same next week. The other thing is there's other options besides just Google search, how your business might show up, because people are talking to the AI platforms, or LLMs as they're called, to do searches, whether that's in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, all these different things. And so we're here to kind of definitely bring as many gold nuggets and what's happening currently, so that you can be prepared, because whoever you may be working with on your marketing may not even be aware of all these things again, because like Chris said, in 2 weeks time, it'll always change. 2 weeks from now, it could change again. So that's why we try to be on the cutting edge, bring you as much value as we can. And so let's just dive right in, and we'll go ahead and kick it off.
I'd like to jump in on top of that if I can, because why is Google changing stuff? Everyone, oh my God, everything's changing. Well, Google's always wanted to stay front runner, front leader, and they are watching the public figuring out something new, this whole new thing in real time at one of the fastest implementation razors or edges that we have seen like in our lifetimes. So the adoption of AI, the usage of AI, just got a couple stats here. Most adults in the US, 60% of adults, according to Associated Press, and 74% of those under 30 now use AI to gather information, ideas. And so it's adopted that quickly, right? So think of how long it took the iPhone to adopt. Think of how long before that it took the internet to adopt. Think of on and on and on. And we've got 74% of people under 30 saying that they're using some sort of AI platform on a regular basis. We've also got things like, according to eMarketer, 63% of small businesses, business marketers are using generative AI to brainstorm things like ad concepts and marketing positions and stuff like that. So we've always known that it used to be about 60% of people that don't have a name in mind for their local service provider, their roofer, their auto shop, their carpet cleaner, the ag world and all of that, and med spas and all of that stuff, the people here and anything else out there, 60% that didn't have a name in mind went to the internet. And then of those, over 80%, the numbers always varied between 80, 85%, went to Google. Google was the big behemoth. Now, so again, first, where did the other 40% go? Well, they ask their neighbor, they ask their friend, they ask their, they have other ways of finding stuff. They go to social media, stuff like that, or not on the internet. But the 60% that go on the internet, most went to Google if they didn't have a name in mind and they're looking to buy something right now. That's dropping, and Google's scared. Part of it is because they're finding their people are asking deeper, longer questions, and doing a deeper search. So, and they're finding they're getting answers on things like ChatGPT. So even with Gemini and generative AI coming up at the top, Google's now added this whole new thing called AI mode we're going to talk about, because they're trying to claw back and say, oh, no, we got answers for you. We've still got our Google Maps, sort of, but not really. Well, we've kind of got, we at least know, and again, it's changed already because they're trying to find the user experience that consumers go, that's what I want to see. They're guessing and playing and testing as they do at mass scale to try and solve that. And us as marketers and you as small business owners and stuff like that need to go, okay, what do I do? How the heck do I navigate this landscape that's changing under my feet right now in real time? So that's hopefully what we're going to present today.
And I'm going to piggyback off that, because two things that you brought up is, yes, you mentioned ChatGPT and a lot of other platforms out there. Although Google has been laying back with this launch of the AI mode that I know Jen's going to share a screenshot of exactly what we're talking about and how you can find it, it all of a sudden put it back to the forefront because of we've been trained to use Google. We've been trained to have that open. So now we're not having to open up another platform. We're not having to remember, okay, is it Perplexity? What would that be? They don't have to remember the name of Claude. They don't have to remember of any of those other large language models. Now all of them are like, wait a minute, there's just an extra button with Google. To the other point, where I was saying about talk to whoever might be helping you market, we have to remember that there's a lot of tools. And as already been mentioned, they change fast here. So if your professional that you're working with doesn't exactly rattle off the exact tools that we're mentioning, they may have other AI tools, and that's okay. It's just more making sure that they are keeping up as best possible because it is moving so fast. So that's just the 2 points I wanted to bring up is you do want to make sure that you are aware of how this will change the landscape moving forward, because as we're going to demonstrate and talk about here, if you're listening to it on podcast, we're going to bring up some key points that literally just rolled out of what we're going to have to be aware of and how your content is going to have to even go deeper, because to the point, they're not searching for 1 or 2 words. We're putting phrases in, we're having those conversations. But to the fact that you don't have to install or download or remember another name, Google may move ahead again.
100%.
Just one other quick point I want to make on that too. Just same kind of situation is if they're the small business owners who are really trying to DIY their marketing or have someone in-house, not a marketer, but maybe, someone at the front desk or the office person. For those businesses that are trying to compete and handling their marketing in that way, it's going to continue to get harder because as things change, marketers, we're staying really in that change. We're watching it, we're making adjustments. I know we all know it's a full-time job. It's more than a full-time job because none of us do it alone. But just more and more, it's getting harder for the little guy, the individual, to compete in this advanced landscape. I hate to use the word landscape these days because it's such an AI word, but it's really getting more and more challenging. And so, not that they can't do it. I know for my company, there's nothing we do that another person can't do on their own. It's just, they might not be able to do it as in depth or as efficiently or, whatever. But it's just something to think of, that it is getting harder and harder, and it's going to continue to get harder and harder, I believe.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And And I think that, coming at it from a small business standpoint, I mean, we're all small business owners right here, right? Sitting on this panel. We wear so many hats, right? Every single small business owner wears so many hats that how do you keep up with things, and that's kind of the trend here. What we're talking about is just keeping up with the latest and greatest. Well, that's what software's been for the past 20, 30 years of my life, of trying to keep up with, and really, I think the key is just trying to pick something and get really good at that one or two pieces of software, whether that's Claude, whether that's ChatGPT, whether that's whatever, right? And all of these agentic, tools are being released right now that can help you move even faster, right? And so it's just a matter of adopting or adapting, right? Adopting the tools and adapting to the landscape, in your AI word there, Jen. Just how do you do that? Well, you have to dedicate time. You've got to block off some time in order to do that. And I know that I've got at least 1 to 2 hours every single day that are blocked off currently for myself, my own personal development, in order to keep up with all of this stuff. Now, I'm a geek. I like that stuff, right? I kind of like being on the cutting edge. But if you're a roofing company owner or carpet cleaning, owner, that might not be your jam, right? You might say, I still prefer to do everything in a notebook. Okay. But I'm betting that if you're listening to an AI marketing podcast right here, then you're probably a little bit more on the front edge here. Okay. So let me ask, right? And this is to all of y'all, right? And yes, that's a word in the South, all y'all, right? Is So Jen had I think it was Jen in our group had released a thing about Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is a major provider in the DNS, and I'm about to geek out here, but they control a lot of the internet, right? A lot of the internet, because they have free tools, and it's very important here for what they released, okay, what they talked about. So I'm going to let Jen talk to that, but how do we talk about this and how it's going to really affect the entire internet as a whole? Okay. So Jen, why don't you tell us what you shared with us, and really let's kind of work our way through that a little bit.
Sure. And I think it really goes hand in hand with what we're looking at, what we're seeing with Google's AI mode, which I know we'll get into that too. So Cloudflare introduced basically you can toggle it on and off, but it's a setting that you can make sure that your websites aren't crawled by the AI. I'm losing the words, but basically by those platforms, by those tools. So by doing that, what they were saying is, there's a lot of people who they're looking at, well, the AI platforms are basically profiting or benefiting from all of these websites that have content, good content, on the sites. And so they're, the LLMs are crawling it and using that content to benefit, their business, the AI business. And so by toggling off or toggling on, I guess, the ability to say, nope, you can't crawl my site, so that you can't profit or benefit from my content. Which seems like a really good thing. But then that also means that when someone is using one of those LLMs to search for, the most popular gyms in their area, or, whatever it is, like if you have that toggled on, that your site can't be crawled by them, then you're also not going to show up for those things, those
Yeah.
searches, which is,
And I think where it's really important is like, there's guys that like there's monetizing and paywalls. Think of, the New York Times and Substack and there are some really, really smart writers that you might want to pay $10, $20 a month to be in their blog. And that's how they make money now on Twitter and stuff like that. And they were getting pissed. They were just like, hey, why is all of my content and thought leadership being made available for free? Who gave that okay? Right. So I think it is the next evolution of privacy. But yeah, as a business owner, you've got to decide how prolific you like, where do you want that content to be? And do you have client facing content that like coaching programs? We coach carpet cleaners. We have an entire blueprint for success. Do I want my entire blueprint for success to build $1 million carpet cleaning company in 3 years, guaranteed, out there for to be crawled? Or do I want to keep that as intellectual property because we've done it since 2007, right? But do I want the marketing messages that we write around that, the 1,000-word blog post about, 30,000-foot view on that to get people into our world? Yeah, absolutely do. So the fact that Cloudflare allowed that ability, and the internet or the large language models have to respect it and stuff like that. That is just the next level of changes. As this becomes new, it's like, how do we license, regulate, manage this? So yeah, it's a matter of small businesses, how you might even want to think through what is considered client content versus public content and that kind of stuff. And consider maybe that's a whole separate site now instead of a section of your website because you want that whole separate site to be blocked.
yeah.
So,
And I don't know from Cloudflare, from the what I read, I don't know if you're able to toggle it on and off on a per page basis. Like no indexing. We know we can no index.
Right.
yeah.
For the search engines, but I don't know if we can do that on a per page basis for Cloudflare.
Yeah, and
Does
maybe
anyone
they'll
know?
get a protocol where you can do no index, no LLM index eventually. But right now, this is that first shot across the bow. And thanks, Jen, for bringing it to us. That was like, wow, yeah, that's a layer that's now needed because this is just prolific. It's yeah, and it's got to be dealt with. So
Yeah, and it's dangerous, I think, because of the simple fact, and what I was reading about it is that it's toggled on by default,
Yes.
right?
mm,
When you add a new domain there. Now, older domains that are on Cloudflare, so we have all of our clients' domains, all of our domains on Cloudflare currently because it's a very, very easy to use interface, right? Much easier than any other interface I've ever used in the past 20 plus years of being in the
mm,
industry. So, but what we have to be careful here is not allowing it to happen without our knowledge. Okay. So,
mm,
as small business owners, anyone listening to this, you should know and go check that setting, right? Because it's almost the same thing as turning Google off, right? In indexing inside of your WordPress website. Okay. And that's the last thing small business owners want, right? You want to be found.
yeah.
Okay. It's the entire basis of the whole search world. And that's what we're talking about here from a search standpoint. Now, other standpoints of your content and not allowing LLMs to have your content, that's a whole different, you
Yeah.
know, really whole different discussion, right? But where I'm kind of seeing the threat here, and this is truly a threat for small businesses, is that you don't want to overnight become obscure within a very leading platform, right?
Mm.
Like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or even Gemini. Okay. So that's when you shared that, Jen, I was like, whoa, that's a major shot across the bow there by Cloudflare. So
Hey,
what are
can
your
I
thoughts
share
there, Brad?
screen, guys? I want to
Yeah.
show our viewers the
Hmm.
basics we're talking about. So let me pull up my screen. Let me know when you guys can see my Google screen.
We
Yep.
can see it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So in general, when people go to google.com, this is where they start. Well, there's this new little shiny rainbow looking thing over here now that says AI mode, right? And if you were to click that, instead of just typing in what you would normally type in, you click in AI mode, and then just an example is I'm just putting in like I would normally. Hey, my RV broke down. I'm near Redlands, California, whatever. I'm gonna hit go. All right, this looks totally different. This isn't like anything we've ever seen before, right? It's got all kinds of pretty colors and the whole bit. And then pretty quickly, it's now showing us this new information, right? Right here's one of our clients that's showing up here. But the strange thing was, a few minutes ago, I did this search, and it was also over here. Okay, so why is it here but not here? I don't know yet, right? This is another link to our client. And as you move down, there's other information here. Again, now you're seeing map listings here. You're seeing, but then it stops, right? It stops here, but ask anything. So this is something brand new. This is all clearly AI. If I go over here, show all, or I can click on these, which are going to go somewhere as well. Now, for most people, you probably know, but not everybody may know, but these are the normal buttons up here of Google search. So if you go to all, you're going to see a normal type search, right? With your Google Maps listings, and then your organic listings and so on. But if you go, and then again, maps, images, shopping, videos. So this changes around a little bit. They have short videos up there now, but if you go back to AI mode, again, this is completely different. So if I hit show all, see, now our client is right here. So this is a huge game changer for any small business of like, whoa, wait a minute, this is different. And it isn't completely rolled out from what I saw on mobile devices yet, but clearly it
Yeah, I
will
was
be.
just checking that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Right.
And
I
then,
was like, yeah.
and then
And as of
lastly,
this recording, not in Canada yet for all my Canadian friends, just so you
that's
know.
right. And then lastly, the other thing now is this, I'm in regular Google now, just as all instead of AI mode. There's another piece here called AI overview. Okay, this is brand new as well. Okay, it is just literally above where regular
Organic.
search results are, right? But it's
And
also
then
showing.
another button you just passed that says deep dive into AI mode right there. Like again, so they want you over in AI right now. Like again, this is the moment. Might be different if you're listening to this a week from now. But yeah, we're seeing that, and it's yeah, as you said, as everyone said, it's not as keyword driven, it appears yet, and all that. And we do know that AI, like chat GPTs and all the other tools that people are moving to, like what is the best carpet cleaning method that I could use, and what are the local providers that provide that? And those, and again, Google's now saying, okay, we can answer those questions too. Ask me anything. We'll go deeper with this, and it's outside of keyword search. So
Right. And then in closing on this part, since I'm already sharing, is if you were to ask Google how to show up in Google AI overview, it's pretty much telling you focus on creating high quality, easily digestible content that directly answers user questions. So FAQs, frequently asked questions, if you have that on your homepage or interior pages, that's going to be a big thing. It's saying optimize for traditional SEO and conversational queries, ensuring your content is easily discoverable and informative. So there's a whole list of things here. I'm not going to go through all of it, but these are different things here that Google is just telling us. Okay, how do I show up here? That's just the Google AI overview, not necessarily the AI mode. So there's different pieces now. So it's just an eye opener, I think.
And I think that, as you said, it's more conversational. The way they are setting it up, it is meant to use your mics and actually ask. And it's not near me. It's not very just a few words. It is going into more conversation. And we know that you're going to, our clients, listeners out there will see a lower click-through rate, the CTR. They're going to see a lower rate only because of these AI options. And as was just mentioned, although we're not seeing it today on our phones because this is such a new rollout, we know that content will still matter and matter even more as we're answering those questions, as we're being very genuine, getting the information out there to our point as to deciding whether it should be all public or not. We'll continue that conversation once we follow that topic as well. But to be an authority, we want to make sure that we are considering all these angles. The other thing that wasn't mentioned yet, but I see it on my phone. I know many people have seen this for a while. Brad didn't bring it up today, was Google Lens. So that too, they see when we're going into AI mode, being able to use your camera to, to show around, have that conversation. What am I seeing? Tell me more about that. I think companies are going to have to really anticipate if someone takes a picture of their product or something spilled on the carpet, something that they see regarding their gutter or their roof system, something that on their skin, they want to know best ways to take care of that. RV, you're going to want to make sure you know how to properly capture that for Google Lens conversations as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's shifting so fast.
Can I just tell you really quick, because I seem to get all tools early. I have it on my phone.
Oh, you do? Okay. That's
Okay.
As of
That's
last night, I
fantastic.
didn't. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as of today, we don't at the moment, but that's fantastic. So what are you seeing different wise with the interaction or the user experience on your phone?
So it is, so in AI mode, very similar, except right now, what we were showing on the right, those are basically cards that you can scroll, you can swipe to the left. Um, and then basically the listings are still the same, the cards are still the same, the map with several locations on it is the same, and then it lists actually more options at the bottom, and then with an ask anything.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the clear differences is that it doesn't have that endless scroll. And you're not going to be talking about being on page 2, page 4, page 22. You're going to see that it stops and says, if that wasn't it, what are you looking for? And that's what we want to take into consideration.
Yeah, because like there's literally nothing that allows you to go to a page 2.
Yes.
Like, yeah, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
I think this goes back to what we've talked about in recent weeks too about building your brand.
Oh, yeah.
Or the more you're building your brand and just building your whole platform around people knowing, liking, and trusting who you are, conversational, all these other things, I truly believe that's going to be the tip of the iceberg for it all.
Yeah, and I
100%.
think too as well when you when you're thinking people are going through that AI mode, getting like as you said, Laura, less click through rate because there's more people getting their answers on the front end, but stats are starting to show that when they do finally click through, okay, I've now made my decision, this guy, and they go to the website, the conversion rate is much higher, less
Yeah.
traffic. So maybe less pixels to retarget in a geeky R world, but less traffic, more conversions so that that landing page, that website better be on point for conversion optimization. It better be telling the story and having the right things in the right place, because you just have to basically end that train of thought in their head, make it easy for them to call, book, get a price, get a number, whatever, and carry on.
100%. Yeah.
And I know that this probably isn't, and Chris, we will not overwhelm you with the agent talk and everything. And this is something that we can circle back around here at another episode. But the landing pages, like you're saying, John, about needing them to be on point, it used to be, a lot of planning, a lot of A/B testing. Now, with some of the tools that are out there, the thought and then the build can go so much faster and right into A/B testing that you're able to see if that conversion rate's there and you're able to make that more on the fly or within what you would have taken weeks to get reporting and approvals and et cetera, feedback, you're shortening that window dramatically. So I know that some of the things that have been just rolled out, it moves everybody ahead quicker to get the right people in front of the right businesses at the right time.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I noticed too in the AI mode? I didn't see any ads. So how are they gonna
Yeah.
how are they gonna
Oh,
handle
Where are they
that?
monetizing that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
I'm
is
sure it's coming.
ChatGPT going to get ads on the sidebar? Because every internet tool has been, hey, let's get a whole bunch of eyeballs on YouTube. The more eyeballs, more eyeballs. Well, let's sell for $1.4 billion to Google. And then Google goes, cool, because we wanted your eyeballs. We're going to run ads to them. It's always just like get eyeballs, give them ads. ChatGPTs and all of those LLMs, they definitely have a monetization backend thought process in their minds anyways. So where's that going to show up as well? So
Sure it's
Yeah,
gonna evolve
100%.
somehow, some way.
Well,
yeah.
I
I
know
mean,
that. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, just remember that Google back in the day, right? They didn't monetize. It was
At
completely
first,
free,
yeah.
100% free until what, 2005, 2006, right? Time frame when I remember the Google ads started rolling out. I could be wrong on the dates on that, but it just seems like, you know, that was seemed to be the time frame that we were like, wait, what's Google ads? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. When we were so focused on search, organic search, way back in the day. I see the same kind of things happening with ChatGPT, with Perplexity, with any of these tools that people are using, is that as they become integrated with that $1,000 machine, right? Which, by
Hmm.
the way, and I don't know how my son did it. He's more of a geek than I am. Apparently, he's got ChatGPT set up to where he can ask it on his phone, right? And it's hooked up with Siri. So he actually said, "Hey Siri, find me this," and she came back, dumb Siri said, "Hey, sorry, I can't do that, but would you like me to pull open ChatGPT for you?" Right? So
Hmm. Yeah,
I
we're
don't
there.
know how he's gotten to that point.
So
He
you're
basically
saying
said,
that's
"I've got a
it's different
newer
than them just
version."
downloading the app on the phone.
Right.
Just so our
Right.
listeners know that yes, we know how to download the app.
Yes.
It's
Right.
different the way he's got it connected and working together.
Correct. He's got it hooked up to his AirPods to where he can talk to it and so forth, right? So, I mean, and not saying that that is such an advanced feature. That's really what Siri should have been all along, right?
Yeah.
And that was the original intention for Siri and Alexa and all of these other, forefront type assistants. Okay. I think that it is already becoming and is starting to become more personal assistant, agentic, right? If you will,
Yeah.
with that $1,000 machine sitting in every single person's pocket. Okay. I mean, come on. I got my kids an iPhone when they were in what, second, third grade, because they were so far behind everybody else that we had to give it to them. Well, guess what? Everybody has that nowadays, and it's just
Yeah.
sitting there in their pockets. So, anyways,
Yeah.
kind of coming full circle back to Cloudflare, the Cloudflare thing, that honestly gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit, because that was very heavy-handed almost. It wasn't like, hey, should we do this feature for y'all kind of a thing. It was a, hey, this is how it is kind of a thing. So I I paid up, when y'all shared that, when you shared that with our group, I was like, whoa, hey, that's kind of heavy-handed there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That to do went to the top of the list as far as, checking in on all
yeah,
the sites that we have with it.
yeah,
You know what,
100%.
what else crossed my mind, guys, was when we're talking about monetization and ads and different things like that. If you think about it right now, people can get ChatGPT for free and some of
Mhm.
these other tools, but they also, all of them, most of them have a subscription model as well. The general public probably doesn't even realize that, or majority of them aren't even paying for ChatGPT Pro or Plus or Perplexity Pro or any of these other ones. And so where is that going to go? Same with social media. Currently, Facebook, Instagram, all those are free. But if there's all these new AI pieces into it, Google Gemini, you get certain pieces of that when you have, your Gmail or your Google Suite through that. Where are these things going to shift to where these platforms are able to monetize in one way or another? We don't know yet,
Yeah.
but it's going to
And
shift.
it's
Yeah.
nothing's ever free, right? So there's always
Right.
money somewhere. So if
Mhm.
if it's free to you, you are the data source.
That's
You are
right.
feeding the beast, right? So
That's
why
right.
Mhm.
did they make it free? Because they wanted all your content. right? It's just they wanted you to interact, they wanted you to teach the machine and that kind of thing. So make it free, that makes it happen, right? So
Right.
But
also
that's what
yeah,
Google's been doing that for 20
exactly.
plus years, right? I mean,
Exactly.
all of these free tools that they provide is so that they
Yes.
could get the data, right? So
Yes.
that they have the data. So
Yeah.
it's not a new business model by any
No.
means. You know,
No.
it's definitely out there and has been used before in the past, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. So yeah.
Well,
And just put a pin in that and pull it full circle as our your clients out there. We've got Jonathan. We had Whitebeard, Jonathan Mast on one of the recent episodes,
Yeah, I
and
missed
he's
it.
got one of those. Yeah, and he's got one of those little lapel pins that just records everything.
Mhm.
And people, you got apps on your phone. As business owners, are you recording every conversation your technicians are having, putting it in a database, and instructing them how to sell better and be better in the homes? Like,
Yeah.
are you now taking all of this we just talked about as, oh, big brother's over top of you? Cool, run faster, be better than
Mhm.
your competitors in your local marketplace, stand out, dominate, because that's where you should be using AI. Leave your marketers and your vendors to know how to do it on search, to know how to help you. All these changes we're watching, 2 or 3 hours a day, Chris, and going for a walk with the dog or a hike and a podcast and listening and learning and stuff like that. You, Mr. Roofer, or whatever, don't need to necessarily be learning that part of it, but you should be learning how to engage in your business. Like, even on
Mhm.
our end, AI is starting to write its own code. Code is written as a human construct, whether it's Python or whatever. It was a human created the code. Code is a human construct and it has the limitations. AI is now starting to write its own code base that we can't understand, according to programmers and coders that I've heard from and stuff like that. It's writing something that is its own language because it's better, faster, smarter, and more interactive and whatever else. So we're becoming to the point where building things software wise is just having a conversation and letting it go do it. Right. And that kind of thing as well. So leave that to the geeks, leave that to the us and our teams and our and stuff like that, or whoever your vendors are. But be sure you're thinking about how you can use the AI nature of this show to better your part of the business and your ability to sell more, stand out more, do things faster, easier, cheaper, all that.
to Chris's point, he was stepped out away for 2 weeks and was with that, and I'm about ready to do the same thing. And it does seem like it's going to be overwhelming. And we, as business owners, a lot of other business owners will tell me we don't have hours upon hours upon hours. Again, this is our job. This is what we enjoy doing. This is what we geek out over. So we enjoy staying in touch. But one thing I've been telling my clients or people that have asked me is find a task that you can add Aon to or after. So in other words, if you find yourself reading in the morning, then the next task is to do some AI prompting. Or if you are answering emails first thing in the morning, then use AI to help you answer this more efficiently. What can you gather from those emails? And then so you're not saying, okay, I've got to carve out and save X number of hours every day to learn about AI or once a week. Yes, we really would be thrilled to have you listen to our podcast as you're walking or adding that in. But in order to prompt better, to be more efficient with your AI, just consider adding it on just a few minutes at a time and then increasing that. And you'll find out sooner and later. And now that Google's added it right there to the search bar, it might be sooner that you're able to incorporate some AI. So we don't want you to feel overwhelmed as a small business owner of like, oh my goodness, this one more thing. But as John was mentioning, if you are able to capture what your sales team or your other team members are doing, recording
Yeah.
or even capturing those asked questions, what people are truly
Mm.
asking, taking that to the point where Brad was saying, feeding it in on your own website, whether you're doing it or providing it to your provider, you've got it answered and you're one step closer to being what AI will be looking for, or you're strengthening everything that search is looking for. So take a deep breath. Don't let it overwhelm you. Focus on one thing, and you know that you're using AI in that one thing every day.
100%.
Good advice.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And it kind of goes back to, Dan Martell, right? Buy back your time. And essentially take one piece off of your plate. You, I mean, instead of hiring somebody now you can have an agent do some of these tasks, right? And so, Yeah, it's it's definitely, and as I've come back from the mountains, right off of the mountaintop, literally, okay, uh, it was a little overwhelming to go, okay, well, what's new in the AI world and see all this new stuff, but at the same time, take one piece off of your plate at a time, right? Just like you would if you were hiring an employee. Okay. And yes, and treat it like that, by the way, is that, hey, I've got to train this employee, this agent, whatever you want to call it, to do the stuff that I want it to do. Okay. And then monitor it and manage it and make sure that it's doing that. So, but to your point, I do love the idea of recording conversations. It's a little creepy, privacy, all that kind of stuff. And you get past that point, but having AI analyze those and give you valuable feedback, and more importantly, giving your employees valuable feedback is just, it's invaluable, right? As far as that goes. All right. Anything else before we wrap up here that we want to throw in for this week?
I think we threw a lot out to
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
people to digest, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just it's really cool to see what's happening, and at the same time, it's like everybody's like, okay, what do we do now? And everybody, I would just say, kind of like Laura said, take it a piece at a time, but also just be prepared, because it's not gonna stop changing. It's not gonna stop shifting, and AI and all the pieces that we're showing are gonna come in fast and furious, more than we can even
100%.
probably imagine.
Yep.
How to eat the elephant one bite at a time. Don't know who this guy is that decided to eat an elephant, but start eating the elephant.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, thank y'all for showing up here today and talking about AI and geeking out with us all here. Thanks for listening to us. Make sure, or watching us if you're on YouTube, make sure that you go to any of our channels and click that subscribe button, hit like down there, and that way we will show up in your feed and the algorithm will feed us to you.